Welcome to Fun Facts Daily, your source for just the good stuff. Monday through Friday, we're bringing fun facts and news you can use, all carefully curated to uplift and inform. So give yourself a break, relax, and learn something awesome in just a few minutes every day. Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in to Fun Facts Daily. I'm your host Kyle Wood. Today we'll be learning all about Katsushika Hokusai, one of Japan's most famous artists. But before we get into the facts, let's warm up our brains with a little challenge to see if you can tell fact from fiction. Consider this. Hokusai's most famous work, The Great Wave off Kanagawa, was part of a renowned series, 36 Views of Mount Fuji. Based on the title, one might assume it consists of 36 pictures of Mount Fuji, the tallest mountain peak on the island of Japan. But does it really? Is it possible his most famous series had a deceptive title? We'll find out at the end of the episode. Now for your word of the day. Today's word is ukiyo-e. Ukiyo-e is a genre of Japanese art that flourished from the 17th through 19th centuries. It literally translates to pictures of the floating world, and it captures the transient beauty of everyday life, including kabuki actors, beautiful courtesans, sumo wrestlers, and landscapes. The term floating world originally referred to pleasure districts of Edo, modern-day Tokyo, where people sought fleeting entertainment and enjoyment. Ukiyo-e prints were created using woodblock printing, a painstaking process where an artist's design was carved into wooden blocks, inked, and then pressed onto paper. Each color in the final print had to be carved into a separate block of wood, and then each of those blocks of wood would be pressed to the paper like stamps, one on top of another until all the colors were present in the final print. It was a very labor-intensive process, with ukiyo-e artists sometimes using a dozen wood blocks for a single print. But this allowed for the mass production of images, making art accessible to a wider audience than ever before. These prints were essentially the popular culture media of the time, functioning much like posters, advertisements, and even magazine illustrations do today, spreading news, fashion, and entertainment to the common people. Time for your daily high five, our top 5 fun facts about Katsushika Hokusai. Number 1. Hokusai changed his name over 30 times throughout his life, each new name often marking a significant shift in his artistic style or personal circumstances. Changing names was a common practice among Japanese artists in the Edo period, but Hokusai's frequency stands out. Each name wasn't just a whim, it often signified a new phase in his career, sometimes working under a new teacher, a new style he was exploring, or even a period of personal difficulty or renewal. His name at birth was Tokitaro. He began his artistic journey by apprenticing as a woodcarver, which gave him an intimate understanding of the entire printmaking process, from initial design to the final carved block. This foundational knowledge set him apart, giving him a unique insight into how his drawings would translate into prints. As he evolved, Hokusai studied in various art studios, constantly absorbing new techniques and perspectives, and each change often coincided with him taking a new name. After a year of study in the artist Shunsho's studio, he was given the name Shunro and published his first prints under that name. He adopted the name Hokusai at 37, which means North Studio, a nod to the North Star, a deity important to the Buddhist sect he followed. Later in life, he used names like Gakyo Rojin Manji, meaning old man mad about art, which really encapsulates his lifelong dedication and obsession with his craft, especially in his later years. Number 2. Despite his immense fame for landscape prints, Hokusai actually produced a vast body of work across many genres, including portraits, nature studies, and even fascinating depictions of supernatural beings. While The Great Wave and 36 Views of Mount Fuji are his most celebrated works, Hokusai was an incredibly versatile artist. He began his career by producing actor prints and illustrated books, which were highly popular at the time. His range extended to incredibly detailed botanical and animal studies, showing his keen observation of the natural world, from delicate flowers to majestic birds. Now, this may come as a surprise to some of you, but Hokusai also delved into the world of Japanese folklore, creating captivating images of yokai, which are traditional Japanese monsters, spirits, and supernatural creatures. These drawings often depicted fantastical beings from myths and legends, showcasing his incredible imagination and storytelling ability through art. His detailed and often humorous portrayals of these supernatural figures went along with Japan's rich cultural narratives and captivated audiences with their whimsical and sometimes eerie presence. Number 3. Hokusai's Manga series, a collection of over 15 volumes, is one of the earliest documented uses of the term manga. It's a treasure trove of spontaneous sketches that served as art manuals for aspiring artists. The term manga today immediately brings to mind Japanese comic books and graphic novels, but Hokusai's manga, which he published in 1814, was a different beast entirely from what we typically think of as modern manga. It was a collection of thousands of spontaneous and whimsical drawings depicting everything from people and animals in various poses to landscapes, historical figures, even supernatural beings, all captured with his distinctive flair and energy. These volumes were hugely influential, serving as a visual encyclopedia and a practical guide for students to learn how to draw a wide array of subjects. You might think of Hokusai as almost like a 19th century Bob Ross, just using printed manuals instead of public television to help other artists learn, evolve, and do their best. Number 4. Hokusai reportedly moved house 93 times during his lifetime, often due to an accumulation of clutter from his drawing materials. Hokusai is said to have had a single-minded devotion to his art, almost to the exclusion of practical living. It's said that he would draw so much that his living space would become completely overwhelmed with paper, brushes, and sketches, making it unlivable. But instead of, cleaning up, he would simply pack up and move to a new house. This constant relocation seems almost symbolic of his continuous artistic exploration and his refusal to be bound by convention, even in his living arrangements. And our 5th and final fun fact: in his time, Hokusai's prints were considered to be of such little value they were sometimes used as packing material to wrap up ceramics and other delicate objects being shipped. But ironically, that may have helped boost his fame and stature in art history. In the 19th century, a curious practice inadvertently brought Japanese ukiyo-e prints, including those by Hokusai, to the attention of European artists and collectors. These prints, which were relatively inexpensive and widely available in Japan, were commonly used as packing material to protect fragile items like ceramics during shipping to Europe. As European recipients unpacked these shipments, they discovered the prints and were captivated by the unique artistic qualities. This accidental exposure to ukiyo-e, with its bold compositions, distinctive perspectives, and striking use of color, sparked the Japanisme movement. Artists like Claude Monet, Vincent van Gogh, and Mary Cassatt began collecting and studying these prints, incorporating elements into their own work and significantly influencing Western art movements like Impressionism and later Art Nouveau. This unexpected use of the ukiyo-e as packing material proved to be a pivotal moment in the history of art, enabling a cultural exchange that bridged continents and artistic traditions. This artistic influence worked both ways, though. Hokusai influenced European artists, but his own practice was also shaped by exposure to Western techniques. Through Dutch trade that reached Japan, Hokusai encountered European copper engravings and prints that featured techniques like linear perspective. He began to incorporate linear perspective into his own works, using it to create a sense of depth and space that was new to traditional Japanese landscape depictions. Beyond perspective, Hokusai also adopted new materials like Prussian blue, a vibrant blue pigment that was imported to Japan through trade with the Dutch. This allowed him to expand his color palette and achieve richer blues in his prints. Famously seen in The Great Wave off Kanagawa, where he combined Prussian blue with traditional indigo to create depth and movement within the water. And I think it's this ability to blend Western techniques and materials with traditional Japanese aesthetics that made Hokusai a standout among all the great ukiyo-e artists. Now for some news you can use. If you're inspired by Hokusai's dedication to practice, a great tip for budding artists or anyone wanting to improve a skill is to embrace the concept of deliberate practice. This means not just repeating a task, but actively focusing on improving specific aspects of it. For artists, this could mean setting aside time to draw hands only, or focusing on shadows and light. For any skill, it involves identifying your weaknesses and designing exercises specifically to address them, rather than just passively repeating what you already do well. Hokusai's constant experimentation and reinvention of his own art, even changing his name to mark new phases, perfectly embodies this idea of continuous, focused improvement. Now for the moment you've been waiting for. At the beginning of the episode, I asked if Hokusai's most famous series, 36 Views of Mount Fuji, actually had 36 views of Mount Fuji. Well, oddly enough, it didn't. While the series is indeed titled 36 Views of Mount Fuji, Hokusai actually produced more than 36 prints for the collection. After the initial popularity of the 36 prints, he added 10 more to the series, bringing the total to 46 unique designs. These additional 10 are often referred to as Ara Fuji or Reverse Fuji, reflecting their later addition and sometimes a slightly different stylistic approach. While the initial plan was to create 36 prints, and thus the name, the overwhelming success and demand for the series prompted Hokusai and his publisher to expand it. So, while the name suggests a fixed number, the artistic and commercial reality allowed for a happy expansion, giving us even more of Hokusai's stunning perspectives of Japan's sacred peak. I hope you enjoyed learning a bit about Katsushika Hokusai with me today. If you want to learn even more about Hokusai and other artists mentioned in this episode, check the links in the show notes. And of course, wherever you're listening, be sure to hit that follow or subscribe button and tune in every weekday for even more fun facts. Fun Facts Daily is an Airwave Media podcast. It was written, recorded, mixed, and edited by me, Kyle Wood. Thanks for sharing a part of your day with me. Be sure to follow Fun Facts Daily on your favorite podcast app so you can keep the good stuff coming your way every day. And if you like the show, please do me a favor and leave a kind rating, review, or just tell your friends about it.